Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Talks. I am your host, Colin K. Bass, and I'm here with the lovely, the amazing Lauren Landa.
Hi, how's it going?
Going great. Very happy to be here talking to you. So I like to start these interviews out with just a little relaxed conversation. What's new with Lauren? How's life? Tell me what's going on.
Oh man, life is as it always is. It's super crazy and amazing and a lot of exciting things on the horizon, especially recently. The most recent project that I can talk about is Beyblade X, which is really exciting because everybody knows Beyblade. And you guys can hear me as Mako Mioden, which I am very, very excited about because she's an awesome character. So,
Awesome. Have you ever
yeah.
played Beyblade?
I have not, but I did have someone bring my character's Beyblade for me to sign at a con recently, and that was the first time I'd ever signed a Beyblade, and it was very exciting.
That is.
So, yeah.
So you haven't like let it rip before yet.
Ah, I get it. I get it. No, I have not let it rip yet, but it's really fun to say during sessions though, because the music is so full of energy and it's pumping, so I always get excited when we get to say it.
Well, that is awesome, and congrats on the new role. That is so
Thank you.
cool. We're all very excited for you. But let's talk a little bit more about origin stories. There's the one I'm
Okay.
sure you've answered a million times. How did you get your start? Nothing wrong with that question. But to take it a little bit deeper, was there a defining moment in your life where you're like, that's what I want to do? I would like to voice act, or I would like to act in general.
Well, the acting in general, definitely. I got bit by that bug when I was, I want to say 6 or 7. I just knew that I loved performing in front of people. And I just kind of got addicted to that because I've always loved to bring characters to life, to perform. That's just always been my passion throughout my entire life. As far as voiceover, I think there are a couple of times in my life where I got the idea, oh, like I could probably do this, but I didn't really think hard on it until I got to college. But I'd like to think that there were a couple times during my life where, say, the universe or whatever was kind of like, hey, maybe you should think about doing this. And the first was through my father, actually. My father worked for Disney way back when I was a little kid. And I used to go to recording sessions and get to watch those, which was really exciting. So that's how I was introduced to behind the scenes and the booth and all of that. And then when I was in Oh, I don't remember what grade, but when I was younger, I ended up meeting Rob Paulson, who is, as you know, the voice of Yakko and Pinky and so many other amazing characters that, we grew up with. And it was a career day. And I remember he was speaking at a class, and it occurred to me, oh, that's right. This is a thing. This is a thing. Voiceover is a thing. And so fast forward to college, I had decided to go in a different direction as far as a degree. So I needed to take a couple of required courses, and one of them was a voice and diction class. And I ended up taking that with a very good friend of mine, now a good friend of mine. But she was also a voice actress for anime and video games. And at the time, I was a very big anime fan. I was a big fan of Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, a lot of the big ones that we still love today.
Right.
Um, and especially for me, Sailor Moon. So, and at one point during the class, she was able to show a clip of some of her work. And I was so inspired by that. And I said, I think I want to look into this. And she said, well, if you want to look into it, then you should take classes for it and courses other than this one, obviously. And so that led me to take a course with Bang Zoom Entertainment, which is a studio that I've worked with many, many times over the last, I would say, about 17 years. And it's how I met my good friend, Tony Oliver, who is an amazing director and has been in so much anime that we love, including Robotech, which is, a classic. So we have to respect that. And from there, I was cast in my first anime project, which was Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha. And
Wow.
that's where it started. And then from there, it just kept going.
And now you're a Beyblader.
And now I'm a Beyblader. All these
Yeah,
years later, I'm a Beyblader. It's amazing.
that's amazing. What an origin story. Love it. So,
Oh,
back to the beginning of that story, you said your dad worked for Disney. Do you remember what recording sessions those were that you went to as a kid? Any standout memories?
they were particularly promo, for promo stuff. So more like, we'll be back after these messages
You're
and
watching the Disney Channel. I got
exactly all of that. And join us after this, all of
Mhm.
that. And I just remember just so vividly just loving it. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. I wasn't bored by it. I wasn't, and luckily I didn't drive my dad crazy, as a little kid, but I think he knew that I would find it really interesting. So I think that's why he brought me into work with him. So it's ever since then, it's just always stuck with me.
That is awesome. So you said
Yeah.
that you loved anime. Were there any other fandoms that you were a fan of growing up, like DC, Marvel, Star Wars, etc.?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I and still to this day am a huge Batman fan.
Okay.
I loved Batman the animated series. Rest in peace. Um, and I loved Batman so very much. It definitely was a big part of my childhood. And I loved all of the characters in it. I loved how there was this noir feeling to it and this dark kind of vibe to it, which is definitely, my vibe. But I loved it and I fell in love with the characters, particularly Batman, Joker, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Harley. They have so many amazing villains in that story. And I think the villains, I mean, we all love Batman. But the villains are really just they help make the show, honestly, they really do. And I just loved that. As I had mentioned, Sailor Moon, I was a big fan of Sailor Moon. I grew up with the original Canadian dub, that was Deke originally. And that was amazing and nostalgic for me. It was actually my first anime series that I watched.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's definitely always going to be very near and dear to my heart. Trying to remember what else, but mainly Batman really stood out to me and Sailor Moon. And I'm sure there's others. I just can't think of them at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of lock that part away. It's hard to remember. Did you stick
Yeah.
with what's called the Timverse, where it goes to Batman, to Superman, the Justice League, to Batman Beyond, everything that's kind of connected in that animated world?
I kind of did. I never really got into Superman. I was mainly more about Batman and
The
the story
darkness.
that the darkness and that takes place in Gotham. I did watch some of Batman Beyond. Return of the Joker is an amazing movie. And as far as Justice League goes, I never got into the main show Justice League, but I loved Young Justice. Young
Okay.
Justice was great. And it was the writing in it was so, so good. Oh, I just remembered what else I was a huge fan of. Obviously, Gargoyles.
Oh my gosh,
Gargoyles. Oh
yes.
my gosh. Yeah, Gargoyles was, I was a huge, huge fan of Gargoyles, still am to this day. Um, God, those characters were absolutely amazing. You have Goliath, you have Demona, you have Broadway, you have Brooklyn, you have Elisa, you have all of these amazing characters. And for a kid's show, it was pretty dark. But
Heavy.
again, maybe that's why I love the dark vibes
The
because that's what
darkness
I grew
again.
up with. That's what I grew up with. So, but Gargoyles for sure was definitely to this day I absolutely love that show. And if they ever brought it back and if they didn't bring back the original cast for it, if the
You're like,
original
sign
cast
me up.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And respectively, of course, because if the original cast members were available and wanted to be a part of it, by all means, we want that. You know what I mean? Especially Keith David. I mean, come on.
What
Like
an
he
animal.
just
Yeah.
oh, he is amazing. He's absolutely amazing. And I've been a fan of his for a very long time. So love
Yeah.
Keith David. Yeah.
And that show still holds up. I had to sneak it as a kid, rewatched it as an adult, and I'm like, this is still a really great show. I
It
love the show.
is. It is, and there's a whole part where they travel to Avalon, the
Mhm.
the fictional lore of Avalon, and so they also go into a little bit of Shakespeare in the show, which is amazing. It's just the whole world that they created, and I love it so much. I think I have a couple of figures of I think I have oh my gosh, his name is escaping me. It's Goliath's alter ego.
Oh,
Um, his name is escaping me. Oh, wait, no. Thalog. That was it.
you're
Thalog.
good. You're really good.
Thalog. Yeah, Thalog was kind of the evil version of Goliath. And I have a figure of him, but I'm wanting to collect more of those figures just because I'm a huge fan. So,
And how would you feel about a live action version?
you know, um, I know there have been rumors of a live action, and I don't know if they've been confirmed because every time, my friends know that I am a huge Gargoyles fan, so they'll send me links like, "Did you see this? Did you see the live?" I'm not against it, but it has to be done right. It has to be
Yeah.
done right.
Last rumor I heard was with Jordan Peele, and I trust Jordan Peele with anything, really.
I think you're right. I think
That
that
was the
is
rumor.
correct. Yeah, for me, the one thing that I would be a little nervous about is um the performances in it, obviously, because the performances could be amazing, but the other reason why I'm a little nervous is because of CGI.
Yep.
CGI can be great and it can also not be great.
Agreed.
But I love gargoyles so much, as many people do. So, and I'm sure like many other fans out there, I would just want it to be done right. And if there's no way to do it right, then just leave it alone, in my
It's got to
opinion.
be done by people who love the source material. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
look at One Piece. One
Yeah.
Piece is doing
Great example.
so well compared to its previous, or not its previous, but other previous anime adaptations, which, I think if it's done right, they could be great. And One Piece is a great example of that.
Yeah.
It's doing so well. And I love that the live action actors and the original voice actors for the characters are now doing conventions together and they are
Yes.
now able to meet, and I think that's wonderful. And as far as I know, everyone that is in the original, I'm sorry, is in the anime, they're all saying that the live action people are very nice. So I love to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also the showrunner is like a diehard One Piece fan too, and that's reassuring too because the
Yeah.
guy at the top of the food chain, at least without the studio, he's the one that's going, "I love One Piece. Let's do this right." And that's comforting for nerds like me that want to see more of the live action side of things. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Again, I'm not against the live action adaptations. I just want it to be done well. I want it to be
yeah.
done right? So I think with One Piece, I really hope it kind of helps pave the way for future live action adaptations.
And
So
I think it is, and I think it will continue to do so. And we'll be at Anime Pasadena together, and we
yeah.
have live action One Piece actors there, and we have voice actors there. So it's great.
Oh,
We're
that's
bridging it
great.
all together.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it.
on to our next portion. This is a segment that we like to call Anime Rewind. It's
Ooh.
basically a time where you and I can talk about a certain scene from one of your many iconic characters. Then we play it for the audience, and you tell us about your whole experience throughout the scene, voicing it, seeing it once it was actually released. Any stories you'd like to share with us about that experience of the scene where Annie was revealed to be the female Titan?
Oh man. So I never, for the last 10 years, I have never gotten sick of that scene. I have never been tired of that scene because it's such an iconic scene. Um, the first time I saw it, so kind of a little backstory to this. When I auditioned for Attack on Titan, I did not even know that it was an anime. I knew that it was a very popular show, but I didn't know that it was an anime. So when I received the audition for it, I was really excited to read for it. Um, and I auditioned for quite a few characters, Annie being one of them. So I was very happy when I was cast as her. But I had no idea where the story was going because I had never seen the anime, I had never read the manga. And Mike McFarlane, as you know, is the voice director of Attack on Titan and also the voice of Jean Kirstein in the show, and he gave me the okay to watch it because I think originally he had wanted me to experience it without any spoilers, without all of that, to experience what the audience experiences, so to speak. And so I remember watching the first couple of episodes and immediately getting hooked because it's such an amazing show. And fast forward to that scene where she's at the top of this, yeah, she's at the top of the stairs and you have Armin, Mikasa, and Aaron just kind of wondering what's happening. And I remember as I was watching it, I was literally on the edge of my seat. I was on the
Hmm.
edge of my seat and I thought, what is happening here? Like I don't know what's happening here because my suspicion of who the female Titan was not Annie.
Hmm.
I did not think that it was Annie. I thought it was Krista.
Hmm.
I thought it was Krista because she has short blonde hair and she shows up in the middle of the field with a couple of horses for Rhina, and so I did not think it was her. And as the scene goes on, and then she does, we call it when she goes all Joker on them because she just kind of bursts into laughter, you know. I was tickled pink over it. I was so excited and I think I fell out of my seat. I think I just had this moment of, no way. So I was so excited to learn that her story was not over, that she was not just a character that we see a couple of times, but that she actually had something more to her story. And I just, to this day, I feel so honored to have been a part of that. And recording it was so much fun. And actually, that take, the laughter in that scene was actually done in one take. So,
Wow. It's
yes.
all the
So,
Joker you watched growing up. And
man, listen, Mark Hamill was a big inspiration. I'll tell you what. Um, but knowing that it just makes me feel so good about that. And I was so proud of that scene. And everybody sounds so amazing in that scene. But, as an actor, you just want to get the right performance. You want to do the character justice. And I really feel very happy with how that turned out. And the laugh was just, it just was so much fun and it was so important. So I'm so glad that it turned out the way it did. And now years later, people continue to ask me to do the laugh, do the laugh. And I always so appreciate it. And I love how it affected people. And that makes me very, very happy to hear. So,
well, it makes us happy too. And I don't know if you remember this, it was when we first met and I had you sign this for me and my girlfriend. And it says, you guessed wrong. Because I guessed wrong too.
I do remember that. I do remember that. And I guess a lot of other people guessed that it was Annie. A lot of fans would come up to me in the beginning and they would say, I knew it was Annie. I knew it was Annie. And I'm over here like, good for you. You probably read the manga. I thought it was Krista. And I remember a very fond memory of being in Dallas recording for that scene, or we were about to record for that scene. And during that time, there was a really bad snowstorm that was about to hit Dallas.
Oh,
And the studio was shutting down early for the day because of that. So we're recording and we get to the scene where she's at the top of the stairs. And then Mike says, okay, we got to stop there. So I had to wait probably about another month to
no.
record that scene. And it was torture. It was absolute torture, but we got it done.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah,
Mm.
I can only imagine where you've been looking forward to doing that and then 1 month. Wow. Okay.
Oh,
Love the
girl.
BTS guys. That's Anime Rewind. Probably my favorite thing we do in this show. But speaking of this amazing signed print, I guess this is our 1 year friendiversary coming up at
It
Anime
is.
Pasadena. So guys, we will both be at Anime Pasadena. I am so excited to see you again, Lauren. Lauren, what are you looking forward to the most at Anime Pasadena 2024?
Oh man. Well, first of all, I am so excited to come back to Anime Pasadena. I love Anime Pasadena. I adore you all. I love you all. You guys take such good care of me and so many of the other guests. Like you really care and it's so appreciated. And not to mention, it's just such a fun show. I'm excited to see you guys again. I'm excited to see all of the amazing guests that you have. Not to mention, your guest announcements are fantastic. You guys put a lot of hard work into it, and I so appreciate it. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what panels we might do. I'm just excited for all of it. Really excited, and I'm so glad to be coming back.
Well, we are happy to have you. And I don't know if you saw this, but you will be on the Sailor Moon panel. So that'll be a lot of fun. Reunite with some
Oh,
sailors and some bad guys, but it's okay.
we like bad guys and we like good guys,
We
especially
do.
in anime. I'm
Mhm.
prepared to nerd out.
I am too. Well, Lauren, time has flown by. It's super fun. I'm not wrapping up yet. I just have one last question. Playing on the
Yeah.
lines of everything that we talked about, from your beginnings to big moments to Anime Rewind to the future of your career. I want to talk about your feelings and your experience on your last voice session for Attack on Titan. Can you
Oh
tell us a
boy.
little bit about that and what that experience was like?
I absolutely can. It was there's no exact word to describe it without getting a little emotional, honestly. This show has meant so much to the entire cast. We've been recording this show for, I would say, a little over 10 years, if not 10 years. I would actually, I don't think it's exactly 10 years, but it's about 10 years. Um, each session for the last two remaining episodes, or the longer episodes, I think they were an hour and a half or hour and 20, something like that. Each time I would go in, I would think, okay, is this going to be it? Is this it? Is this the last one? Because again, I had never read the manga. I didn't watch the rest of the season in Japanese, so I had no idea what was going to happen to Annie or any of the other characters. So I go into the session and I'm ready. It's the last day. I know it's the last day. And there is a whole scene where Annie sees somebody. I won't spoil it in case people have not seen it yet, but she sees somebody that she didn't think she would ever see again. And in that scene, I became very emotional because it was very symbolic of the show ending, but it was also I could relate to it. So it was a very, very emotional day. And I can't just say that for myself. I'm sure you've seen the clips of
Mhm.
Bryce on his last session and Trina on her last session, and it was very similar to that. I was able to keep it under control throughout the majority of the session, but there was a scene, like I said, where she sees somebody that she never thought she would see again. And it's a very tearful reunion, and she definitely becomes emotional. And I think that's when I started to lose a little bit of control, but I still held it together somehow. And then at the end of the session, and I should say that in that scene where you hear her crying, that is absolutely me crying. That is absolutely real tears. Um, but at the end of the session, Mike and I exchanged some beautiful words. I've loved working with you, and Mike had said some very kind words about me voicing Annie, and I still held it together. The moment I got to my car, I just let it all out, and I was bawling. I was bawling, and because when a show this iconic ends, and when we've been recording it for so long, it's very bittersweet. It's very bittersweet. All good things must come to an end, but we don't want it to end necessarily, and myself and the rest of the Attack on Titan cast, we've all become very good friends, and like family, and we have our own little Titan family, and so we all had such a blast recording this show, and so it was very bittersweet, but I just left that session knowing that I would forever be grateful to be a part of the Titan universe and to be a part of this show, because I truly don't think there will be another show like it. I truthfully do not think that. So,
That is an amazing story. And I completely agree. That's going to be a timeless show, just like how shows from the 80s are still very, very relevant. That's going to be Attack
mm,
on Titan for as long as I can possibly imagine. So thank you.
1000%.
Thank you for sharing that with us. What an amazing
Of
story.
course.
And thank you for coming through to Anime Talks. We love you very much over here. Is there anything that you'd like to plug or promote or shout out before we end this awesome interview?
Yeah, a couple things. One, as I had mentioned, you guys can now hear me as Mako Mioden in Beyblade X. I believe it's on Disney, which is very exciting. I believe it's my first Beyblade show.
Kind of full circle, right? Watching Disney. Now you're
There
on.
you go.
Very
Exactly.
cool.
Just like Sailor Moon was full circle for me too. So that there is that. And also I just wanted to say thank you to all of the fans that have continued to support shows like Sailor Moon, Attack on Titan, One Piece, so many amazing shows out there. Um, and just Thank you. And yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Lauren, thank you so much for coming out. Guys, thank you for tuning in. This has been Anime Talks. There will be more episodes coming out. You guys are the best. And make sure you subscribe to Anime Fire for more. Goodbye, everyone.
thanks.